Listen to me. Your future doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to your discipline. Every dream you've ever had, every version of yourself you secretly know you could be, it's waiting behind one simple question: can you control yourself long enough to claim it? Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they let comfort make their decisions. They trade their potential for instant pleasure. But the ones who rise, the ones who dominate their field, their mind, and their destiny, they build their power in silence, in routine, in the moments no one is watching. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep negotiating with your weakness, or you can take control and become unstoppable. Self-discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-love. It's saying, I deserve more than temporary satisfaction. It's what separates the talkers from the transformers, the dreamers from the doers, the almost from the achievers. So the question is, how bad do you really want it? Because the moment you decide to master yourself, life starts obeying your command. Discipline is the invisible bridge that connects the world of imagination to the world of achievement. Everyone dreams, everyone envisions a greater life, but very few are willing to walk across that bridge. It's not made of comfort or ease. It's built with repetition, sacrifice, and the daily decision to do what must be done even when you don't feel like it. Dreams don't come true because you want them to. They come true because you've trained yourself to act when your emotions scream no. Most people are addicted to the rush of motivation, but allergic to the process of discipline. Motivation is that spark you feel when you imagine success. Discipline is the fire you build when the excitement fades and no one's cheering you on. It's easy to act when you're inspired, but true power begins when you show up without the feeling, when you create your own momentum. Every man and woman who has ever risen from average to extraordinary has mastered the art of doing it anyway. For men, discipline shapes strength and direction. It's the quiet force that turns frustration into focus. When a man commits to discipline, he stops chasing validation and starts building value. He learns that real respect comes from self-control, not from approval. For women, discipline is the channel through which energy and emotion transform into impact. It's the difference between being consumed by feelings and using them as fuel. It's where intuition meets structure, where power and grace combine to create unstoppable momentum. Your mind will always search for the easy path because it's wired to protect you from discomfort. But that same instinct that once kept you safe now keeps you small. Discipline is a rebellion against that instinct. It's telling your brain, I'm in control now. Every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you choose progress over comfort, you rewire your psychology to believe in your own strength. That's not just behavior change, it's identity change. Discipline doesn't make you rigid, it makes you reliable. It builds trust within yourself. When you say you'll do something and actually follow through, your confidence multiplies. You no longer rely on external validation because you've proven to yourself that you can count on you. That's the deepest form of empowerment, knowing your own word is weight. The more consistent you become, the more your mind stops questioning your ability and starts expecting success. The truth is, life will always test your limits. It will tempt you with distractions, delay your rewards, and challenge your patience. But discipline is the weapon that cuts through all resistance. It's the voice inside that says, I'm not done yet. It doesn't care how you feel in the moment. It only cares about the standard you hold yourself to. Men and women who live by discipline don't wait for the perfect time. They create it. They understand that every act of discipline plants a seed for future freedom. And when those seeds bloom, the dream that once felt distant becomes your reality. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always truthful. They fluctuate like the wind, one day lifting you up, the next pulling you down. You can't build a legendary life on something that shifts with the weather. Emotions are signals, not commands. They tell you what you feel, not what you should do. The people who win in life don't ignore their emotions, they master them. They feel the fear, the fatigue, the doubt, and still move forward. Because they understand that consistency, not emotion, is the foundation of greatness. Every man and woman experiences emotional highs and lows, but the difference lies in how they respond. Men often battle the urge to retreat when they feel defeated, to hide behind distractions or silence. Women, on the other hand, may feel the pull of emotion more deeply, wrestling between logic and feeling. Yet both have the same choice: to let their emotions dictate their actions or to let their commitments define their path. The strongest people don't always feel strong. They act strong until strength becomes their new normal. Consistency is the antidote to emotional chaos. When you do what needs to be done regardless of your mood, you train your nervous system to obey purpose over impulse. The body learns from repetition. The mind learns from pattern. Every time you push through resistance, you're programming yourself for progress. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's powerful beyond measure. Success is built on thousands of quiet, consistent decisions that nobody sees but everyone feels in the end. Your emotions will always try to protect you from effort, from failure, from discomfort. They whisper, you're tired, you're not ready, you'll do it later. And that's the trap. Those feelings don't care about your future, they care about your comfort. The moment you stop obeying them and start honoring your discipline, you shift from being reactive to being unstoppable. Consistency doesn't ask how you feel, it just asks, did you show up today? That's how transformation happens, one small, consistent act at a time. For men, this means standing firm when life tests your will, staying on course when your drive fades, showing up for your mission even when no one notices. That's where masculine energy finds its true strength, not in emotion, but in endurance. For women, consistency brings emotional alignment. It turns chaos into clarity. It's where intuition meets intentional action. It allows emotion to serve purpose rather than sabotage it. When consistency anchors your emotion, your power becomes unshakable. The truth is, emotions are temporary visitors, but consistency builds permanent results. Every workout you complete when you don't feel like it, every task you finish when your mind says stop, every boundary you keep when it would be easier to break, it's proof that you're mastering yourself. You start to realize that discipline isn't about being robotic, it's about being reliable in a world that rewards excuses. The people who rise are not the ones who feel the best, they're the ones who show up the most. And that's the ultimate power, choosing consistency when emotion tells you not to. Your mind is a powerful servant, but a dangerous master. It's designed to protect you, not to push you. It wants comfort, safety, and predictability, but growth, strength, and success live in discomfort. That's why most people never rise above average. They obey their minds instead of training them. The moment you learn to make your mind do what it doesn't want to do, you become unstoppable. You stop being a slave to your moods and start becoming a commander of your destiny. Every time you avoid the hard thing, your mind learns weakness. It gets used to comfort, to instant gratification, to the easy way out. But every time you force yourself to act despite resistance, you train it to obey your higher purpose instead of your lower urges. Think about it, the gym, the business call, the uncomfortable conversation, the early morning routine, none of these things feel good in the beginning, but they build a sense of control that no one can take from you. The most successful people in the world don't have easier lives, they have stronger minds. For men, training the mind means mastering impulse. The male psychology thrives on conquest, but without discipline, that energy gets scattered. A man who can't control his mind becomes reactive. He chases distractions, loses focus, and wastes its potential. But when he learns to direct that same energy toward purpose, he becomes a force of nature. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about channeling it into action. Every time a man says no to temptation, to procrastination, to weakness, he strengthens the muscle of self-command that separates kings from followers. For women, training the mind means aligning emotion with direction. The female mind carries deep intuition and emotional intelligence, but it can also get trapped in overthinking and self-doubt. When a woman learns to separate feeling from fact, she becomes unstoppable. She learns to use her emotion as a compass, not as a cage. She turns her inner dialogue into a tool for empowerment instead of a weapon for self-sabotage. The moment she decides, I run my mind, it doesn't run me, she steps into a level of power that radiates through everything she does. Your mind will resist every form of change because it craves familiarity. It will tell you that you're not ready, that you don't have time, that it's too hard. But those thoughts are not reality, they're just defense mechanisms. The way to break them is through repetition. The same way your muscles grow by lifting weights they don't want to lift, your mind grows by doing things it doesn't want to do. You must teach it to find safety in struggle, comfort in challenge, and pride in persistence. That's how mental strength is born. Not from wishing, but from training. The key is consistency. You can't train your mind once and expect mastery. Every day is a test. Every morning your brain will try to negotiate, sleep a little more, start tomorrow, take it easy. That's when you must act fast. The longer you think, the more power your excuses gain. Action rewires your brain faster than thought. When you move despite resistance, your brain learns to associate progress with pleasure. Over time, the things that once felt difficult become automatic, the hard becomes normal, and what used to break you now builds you. The truth is, freedom doesn't come from doing what you want, it comes from doing what's required. Training your mind to obey your command is the highest form of liberation. Because when you can push through the noise in your head, the world outside can't stop you. You become focused in chaos, disciplined in distraction, calm under pressure. You stop waiting for motivation because your mind no longer needs permission to move. You've conditioned it to serve your vision, not your comfort. And that's the moment life starts responding to your strength instead of your weakness. Pain is not your enemy, it's your initiation into power. Every breakthrough in life is born from some kind of discomfort. The pain you avoid today becomes the weakness you carry tomorrow. But the pain you face, the pain you embrace, the pain you endure, that's the currency you pay for strength, resilience, and mastery. Every person you admire, every success story you see was written in moments of struggle that no one applauded. Pain doesn't take away your power, it forges it. It's the fire that burns away your excuses and shapes who you were meant to be. Most people try to build their lives avoiding pain, not realizing they're avoiding growth. You can't become unbreakable if you've never been tested. You can't lead with confidence if you've never been forced to fight through uncertainty. Pain is the teacher life uses when comfort stops working. It shows you where you're weak and gives you the opportunity to strengthen it. When you stop running from pain and start learning from it, you discover that it was never there to destroy you. It was there to prepare you. For men, pain is the forge where character is built. A man's strength is not measured by how much he can lift, but by how much he can carry without breaking. The male psychology is wired for challenge. It thrives when tested. But when a man avoids pain, when he hides from the grind, from discipline, from emotional confrontation, he loses his edge. The pain of sacrifice or rejection, of pushing beyond limits, is what transforms potential into presence. Every man who wants power must be willing to pay that price. Pain is the tuition for leadership. For women, pain reveals depth and emotional power. It awakens the inner strength that's often hidden behind compassion and care. A woman's pain teaches her boundaries, clarity, and self-worth. When she learns to face it instead of fearing it, she becomes magnetic because she carries the calm confidence of someone who's walked through fire and still stands tall. Pain doesn't harden her, it refines her, it strips away self-doubt and replaces it with certainty. It gives her voice weight, her presence influence, and her purpose direction. The truth is, pain has no bias, it visits everyone. But how you interpret it determines whether it becomes your prison or your power. When you see pain as punishment, you suffer. When you see it as progress, you evolve. Pain forces growth because it demands that you choose to stay where you are or rise to who you could be. And every time you rise, your capacity expands. What once broke you becomes the reason you're unshakable. Pain will always come before power because it teaches you to appreciate what strength costs. It's the universe's way of asking, how much do you really want it? You can't cheat that process. You can only lean into it. Every rep in the gym, every late night building your dream, every tear shed after failure, it's all a down payment. The more pain you're willing to invest, the more power you earn. Because in the end, the ones who endure the most don't just survive, they dominate. With the quiet strength of someone who has already paid the price in full. Your life is built in the moments no one sees. The hours when the world is asleep, the choices you make when no one is watching, those are the bricks of your empire. Routines are not just schedules, they are declarations of who you are becoming. Every repeated action, every consistent habit is either constructing your future or quietly dismantling it. You can't rise to greatness on random effort. You rise by creating a rhythm that conditions your body, mind, and spirit for excellence. What you do daily determines what you deserve eventually. Most people underestimate the power of routine because it feels simple, but simplicity is what creates mastery. The difference between the successful and the struggling isn't intelligence, it's repetition. Winners don't wait for motivation, they operate from structure. They wake up with a plan, they move with intention, and they repeat with precision. Your routine is your battlefield. It's where discipline conquers distraction. If your mornings are chaotic, your life will be scattered. But if your mornings are focused, your life will follow that energy. For men, routines are the framework for direction and dominance. A man grounded in structure doesn't drift, he drives. The masculine psychology thrives on progress, order, and challenge. When a man locks in on his daily habits, he stops reacting to life and starts creating it. His routine becomes a symbol of his integrity, a reflection of his word to himself. Every workout, every hour spent refining his craft, every commitment honored strengthens his sense of purpose. It's not about perfection, it's about precision, about showing up every single day until his habits become his identity. For women, routines are the foundation for alignment and balance. The feminine psychology carries powerful emotional energy, but without structure, that energy can scatter to overwhelm. When a woman builds intentional routines, she doesn't lose her freedom, she amplifies it. Her habits become a sanctuary, a place where clarity meets consistency. Whether it's her morning rituals, her wellness practices, or a creative time, her routines create stability that empowers her intuition to shine. When her structure supports her spirit, her power becomes magnetic. Habits are the seeds of identity. Every small action tells your brain who you are. When you repeatedly act with discipline, your mind stops questioning your worth and starts reinforcing your power. It's not the giant leaps that change your life. It's the consistent, small steps you take every day. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And when those habits are strong, your identity becomes unshakable. You start to see yourself as the kind of person who follows through, the kind of person who finishes what they start. Your brain craves consistency because it seeks certainty. Every time you follow your routine, you're sending a signal, this is who I am. Over time, your self-image adapts to match your behavior. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you do daily. That's how transformation works, from repetition to belief, from belief to identity. The routine is the training ground. The habit is the weapon. Together, they shape the person capable of living your vision. The secret is to build routines that serve your higher purpose, not your comfort. Comfort kills consistency. You must design your days to challenge you, to stretch you into the person your goals demand. When you make your habits sacred, you eliminate the need for motivation. You move with momentum, not emotion. Routines are how empires are built, one disciplined decision at a time. And habits are how identities are formed, through the quiet, relentless repetition of greatness until it becomes who you are. Everything in your life is a reflection of the degree to which you have mastered yourself. Your relationships, your career, your energy, your results, they all mirror the level of control you have over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And who you are is defined by what you can control when things get hard. The truth is, the world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your standards. When you master yourself, the world naturally starts to bend toward your strength. Self-mastery is not about perfection, it's about awareness and discipline. It's the ability to recognize when your emotions are steering you off course and the courage to pull yourself back on track. Most people live as prisoners of impulse. They react instead of respond. They drift instead of direct. But those who master themselves develop an internal compass that never loses direction, no matter how chaotic the storm. The difference between control and chaos in life begins in the mind. When you train your mind to lead, everything else follows its command. For men, mastering yourself means channeling your raw energy into purpose. The masculine psychology is driven by the need to create, to conquer, to build. But without discipline, that drive becomes scattered and destructive. A man who can't control his emotions, his temper, or his focus is a man who will always be ruled by circumstance. True strength isn't found in dominance over others, it's found in mastery over self. When a man learns to pause before reacting, to choose direction over distraction, he gains a quiet power that commands respect. His presence becomes influence, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. For women, mastering yourself means aligning your emotional depth with your higher vision. The feminine mind is powerful, intuitive, creative, and deeply connected, but it can also be overwhelmed by emotion and self-doubt. Mastery for a woman is not about suppressing her feelings, it's about directing them. It's using emotion as fuel, not as friction. When a woman learns to balance her heart and her discipline, she becomes unstoppable. Her calm confidence radiates authority. Her empathy doesn't weaken her, it becomes her edge. She no longer waits for external validation because she knows her worth internally. That's what makes her influence undeniable. She leads from emotional intelligence and unwavering certainty. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You can't control what you don't understand. Most people never take the time to study their own patterns. They repeat the same mistakes, react to the same triggers, and blame the same problems. But those who commit to mastering themselves treat every challenge as feedback. They observe their emotions without judgment. They study their habits, and they adjust their behavior until it aligns with their vision. Awareness gives you power because it gives you choice, the power to respond with intention instead of reaction. Discipline is the execution of self-mastery. Awareness without action is just knowledge. You must train your body and mind to obey your decisions, not your distractions. Every time you choose to act with purpose instead of impulse, you strengthen the link between your conscious and subconscious mind. Over time, your actions stop being forced, they become natural. You stop trying to be disciplined, you simply are disciplined. And that's when mastery stops being effort and becomes identity. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to be pushed, reminded, or motivated. You move because it's who you are. The reason mastering yourself changes everything is because energy flows from the inside out. When your inner world is chaotic, your outer world reflects it. But when your inner world is grounded, the external begins to align effortlessly. You stop chasing and start attracting. Opportunities come to those who are centered, calm, and certain. People are drawn to those who radiate clarity because it's rare. Mastery creates magnetism. When you control yourself, you naturally influence everything around you. Mastering yourself also means facing the parts of you that you've been avoiding. The fears, insecurities, habits, and limitations that have quietly been shaping your life behind the scenes. True mastery is not about control through force, it's about integration through truth. You can't lead your life if you're still at war with yourself. The moment you stop running from your own weakness and start working on it, your strength multiplies. You become grounded not because life gets easier, but because you've built stability from within. The greatest leaders, creators, and achievers all share one thing in common. They master themselves before they master their craft. They learn to control their emotions, their habits, their time, and their energy. They didn't wait for inspiration, they created consistency. They didn't wait for opportunity, they became prepared. When you master yourself, you stop being reactive to the world and start being proactive in it. You set the tone, you decide the pace, you define the standard, and once you become that kind of person, the world has no choice but to follow your lead.